She's laughing with a whiteboard clear, unpacking a fresh pack of pens, never willing to accept of fear. She's loved in many channels, every gate turned on nights and black blue lights. Heaven help them when she recites. Mysterious life, girl got skills. She moves in space with minimum waste and maximum joy. Makeshift desks and a cat that bites. When you see her coming, take your pills. No place for snowflakes or sensitive hearts. When sentiment is left to chance, she'll send you back to your start. We all know it, she's a smooth moderator. Smooth moderator. Smooth moderator. Smooth moderator. Toast to toast, sometimes switches to crumpet, bends them to jail. Across social media, buy memberships for bail. Verse by verse, exploring the text. She reads and recites, not knowing the tongue, learning every step of the way. Melts all your memories and feeds you facts. Her zeal is like fire, but her heart is of gold. We all know it, she's a smooth moderator. Smooth moderator. Smooth moderator. Smooth moderator. Toast to toast, sometimes switch to crumpet, bends them to jail. Across social media, buy memberships for bail. Smooth moderator. 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 Ooh, moderator. Smooth moderator. Smooth moderator. Smooth moderator. Smooth moderator. Smooth moderator. Smooth moderator.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whatever time of day it is for you, wherever you are in the world. Welcome. This is the exploration series that I'm live streaming on a Thursday evening from 8:30 till 10 p.m. on UK time, that's GMT. So my panelists haven't showed up yet. Dare say they'll be here soon, if they can remember to get here. So I'm going to play another song while I get a few things ready for us to explore tonight's topic, which I'll reveal soon, but not yet, not quite. Because as the theme goes, we explore the information before us without any bias, preferably. So I'm not revealing the topic of the evening until the beginning of the show every Thursday. So let's have a listen to this song while we wait for the panelists.
There's a hustle and a bustle. It's been hustling and bustling a while. A long, long while. This town is now a city. It's a city on a town. It's concrete over beauty. Lights go out, but it's wide awake. I can feel it breathing. The city with a purpose, anticipating until I sleep. It can feel me breathing. It knows I'm listening. hustling and bustling a while. A long, long while. I don't like the circus. Never been, never will. A city with a purpose. City with a
One of my older songs, just like the one that you heard earlier, which was called Smooth Moderator, which I produced just as a bit of fun about me when I was moderating at the Big Nose of London channel. I've dropped the link there for your ravioli. Please no one else use it. It is for my panelists only. Click that link and then I can remove it. And then we're just waiting for the other panelist if he's going to turn up. And hopefully Nagar if she's coming later in a bit, ravioli. Yeah, so the first song you listened to was Smooth Moderator, and that one I called, you've just listened to, is City. Let me see, is ravioli here yet? Thank you, Tina. You like the music. I tell you what, why don't we put this one on while we wait for ravioli to turn up and the other panelist if he's going to be here.
to make sure. All to make sure. Didn't think I'd fall in that far. Thought I'd be able to come back on my own. Thought I could manage what I'd allowed. I'd bitten off more than I could chew. Until I asked for help, I kept falling. Thought I was going round in circles. Overwhelming fear and dread, though I must face them. All to make sure. It was a downward spiral, relentless. I'd bitten off more than I could chew. Overwhelming fear and dread, though I must face them. All to make sure. I asked for help, and that felt like hell. Didn't realize how much pain I was disarming. How many demons and ill will I was carrying. I'd bitten off more than I could chew. Overwhelming fear and dread, though I must face them. All to make sure. Learning my downfalls is difficult. All of them had become my normal. I'm afraid of them and relieved to have found them. As though I've bitten off more than I could chew. Overwhelming fear and dread, though I must face them. I can. Overwhelming fear and dread, though I must face them. All to make sure I can come back from the dead. Back from the dead.
Ravioli, hello, welcome. Can you hear me?
hello, Leslie. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Nice.
Let me see if I can turn your microphone up. I'm using StreamYard this week.
Yeah, I was
You'll
going to say, we're
notice.
on the old...
Yeah, because last week when I tried to start live streaming the exploration series, it wouldn't allow me to because I was still live streaming the music. So it was either one or the other. And I
Yeah.
wanted to keep the live streaming of the music going in case anyone still enjoys sitting listening to that. So I thought, well, to be able to keep that going and do this series, I'm going to have to use StreamYard. So that's why we're in StreamYard for this this series.
Oh,
How are
nice.
you?
Oh, I got a bit of a cold return. I don't know. I'm all right though. Yeah, like just don't know. I haven't felt 100% for like 10 days. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. I'm all right though. Happy to talk on here, and I did mention it to Nagar as well, Lieutenant. She said she might come on. I think she's listening at least, but she might come on. So I don't know.
Okay, well, I hope she does turn up. It will be great to have her as a panelist. I'm not sure whether Banksy's forgotten or something's come up, but I have sent him the link, so he might turn up, he might not. We'll have to wait
Okay.
and see.
Okay.
I'm just turning your microphone up because I know that you'd like to be quiet where you are, but just so the audience can still hear you. So could you just speak there?
Oh, yeah. Hello. Is that better?
Yeah, that's great. Can we get some ones in the chat if the sound is good for Ravioli and me? Am I too loud? Give a 2 if I'm too loud, and a 1 if you can hear Ravioli well and I'm not too loud.
Yeah, I always, Lieutenant, I've always heard, I can hear you clearly. Like whenever, yeah, I've never, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. I just don't want to be out of proportion, like too loud when you're speaking very quietly, because then the audience are like going up and down with their volume. So I'll turn mine
Sure.
down a bit if you're still a bit too quiet for them, because I've turned you up as far as you can go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, without further ado, welcome. It's 9:15, so I want to get into this pretty quickly, as we're supposed to start at 8:30, really. Tonight's topic is... Wait a minute, I think I've got some sound effects. Where are they? Oh no, we needed a bit louder than that. Hang on. So tonight's topic is... Stereotypical thinking. What do we really know?
Wow.
So, Master Ravioli, as the Big Nose of London calls you, do you have any understanding of stereotypical thinking? Is it anything that you've heard of yourself?
I mean, I know like about stereotypes. I'm guessing like it would be to do with, what is it, sort of biased thinking then, or ignorant thinking, or maybe beliefs based on the characteristic, maybe like gender then, or age or race things. Like, yeah, just kind of oversimplified as well, and yeah, often maybe biased views. I don't know, things like that. I mean, I'm just thinking of like stereotype. I'm just thinking of, yeah, it must be to do with that. So yeah.
Okay, so you've give some things. So stereotypical thinking. I've brought up some information because I do have like an idea, an understanding of it, but I thought for our sakes and the audience starting from scratch, we'll start from scratch. So let's go to an article that I've found. So you think it's something to do with possibly biases?
I think like, yeah, lack of knowledge or like so something a bias or something being oversimplified. Maybe sort of beliefs rooted in biases. Yeah, like within the gender or the race, things like that, and age, things like that. Like it very general thinking. It's not like detailed, or it doesn't look at micro points much. I guess oversimplification is something that is in my mind. Yeah.
Okay. Let's go to the information and see what that says, because that's interesting, the points that you've made.
Yeah, no, I don't actually know. Yeah, no, it'd be interesting, Lieutenant. I don't know much about it really.
Okay. Well, that's good, because there's possibly a lot of people who are just sitting thinking, well, I've heard the words, but they've not possibly explored it fully. So we'll start from scratch. I've got an article here from the Britannica. I'm going to see if I can enlarge this.
Yeah, he's used the word, hasn't he? Oversimplified. That's a good word, I think.
Who has?
In there, on the first line of the Britannica.
Okay. So I'll read through it. Stereotypes in psychology. This is from the 31st of January 2026. Right. So, well, it's been edited then anyway. And it says stereotype in psychology, a fixed, oversimplified, and often biased belief about a group of people. Stereotypes are typically rationally unsupported generalizations, and once a person becomes accustomed to stereotypical thinking, he or she may not be able to see individuals for who they are. Stereotypes can legitimize hostility against a whole social group. In addition, because stereotypes are ingrained in the culture, people begin learning stereotypes during childhood. They tend to signal which social groups are presumably appropriate targets for relieving individual frustration. So that, well, it then goes into prejudice and then cognition. And, I think that might be moving away from stereotype and stereotypical thinking, which I want this to be about. So I don't know what you think of that thus far, but what I think so far is that there could be some inaccuracies there going off what I've heard and what I've come across along the way in life. But who knows, what I've come across might be wrong. So we will explore this. Hence, this is the series called Exploration. What do you think of that information thus far, Ravioli?
Yeah, I mean, I think I kind of agree with it. Well, it's kind of how I understand it. Yeah, I can't. Yeah, I mean, it's sort of how I think is about stereotype is written right in front of us. Yeah, that's kind of. Yeah, I mean, the oversimplification is something that just. Typically rationally unsupported generalizations. And once a person becomes accustomed to stereotypical thinking, he or she may not be able to see individuals for who they are. Yeah. That is what I've understood, to this point. Yeah, I can't add too much more, Lieutenant. I mean, yeah, it's not a good thing, I don't think. I don't, that's maybe more of my opinion now, a subjective feeling on it. But
yeah, I mean, when I think about stereotypical thinking, I also take into consideration how our brains, whether we like it or not, take in information and they look at patterns.
Yeah.
And they kind of compute that information a bit like a computer would, right? And they give us conclusions based on the data that it's got. Okay, so that is how we can develop a stereotype, if you want to call it that, right? Like a generalization, just going off the information that we've got. So not necessarily from cultures, although going off what we saw in that description, like that is possible, like that would add to it. But I think where they originate from, where people first started making stereotypes, I think it's got to do with the brain and how it operates. And I think that going off what I've been learning about the anatomy and our brain, including the brain, our bodies are designed to try to survive, constantly try to survive. So this is where I think there may be a positive side to stereotypical thinking. Like if you're thinking certain things about a certain group of people based on the data that's gone into your brain, and thus based on what you've experienced in life, right?
Yeah.
It could be a lifesaver. Like, say, for example, here's a hypothetical one. Say you've come across a lot of articles and you've experienced it and you've witnessed it where youths around a certain age type who wear hoodies, form gangs and go around causing trouble. Now, that doesn't mean that everyone wearing a hoodie is in a gang and goes around causing trouble, right? I wear a hoodie. I don't go anywhere. Okay?
I do so.
Yeah, but I mean, they're so comfortable. Who wouldn't? But
I got one here that's very. Hang on. Oh no. Okay, sorry. No, I won't distract. No, I got a very cool one here. I was showing you.
Okay, so like you can have that information in your brain that you've got this certain age group who they wear hoodies, they've formed a gang, they go around causing trouble, and you've heard of it happening not just in your town but in other parts, right? So that's the only information that your brain's got. And so when you're walking along the street, you may be vulnerable, right? And you see a group of, well, looking at their posture and everything, they appear to be young because they're standing up straight. They don't look like they've got a bad back or anything, so they can't be in their 40s or 50s or whatever. So they're young, they've got hoodies on, they're in a group, so automatically the brain sees a number of them dressed the same, looking the same. That's a bit like the gang. The gang is a group, okay?
Yep.
And they're on the opposite side, they're on the same side of the street as you, and they're just standing around randomly in the street and it's dark. So are they up to no good? Don't know. But to prevent you from being at risk, your brain tells you to cross the road.
Yeah.
Because of the data that it's got. So you cross the road and you continue walking in the direction that you were. So you don't come into contact with them. You've kind of swerved to avoid them, right? And then you get past them and then you cross the road again back to the side of the street that you want to be on, and you continue and you're safe. Great. So that's where the stereotypical thinking may have potentially saved you from being in danger, because that could have been a group of youths, the specific group of youths that are going around causing trouble.
Yeah.
Right? They could have actually caused you trouble, even stress and distress, you know, because it's dark. They might have been wanting to like wind you up, like having a joke. They might not have actually done anything to you physically, but that would be troublesome to you. That who knows how that could impact you, right? So that's where your stereotypical thinking could have actually been a good thing.
Okay, yeah, in that example, I agree with what you, but you know, I think you can go the other side of it though as well.
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, we've seen in the article that it seems to be painting stereotypical thinking as if it's a bad thing, because it says stereotypes can legitimize hostility against a whole social group. And it says that it's a fixed, oversimplified and often biased belief about a group of people. Well, when people hear the word bias and oversimplified, that typically we would think of as being a bad thing, right? And obviously you said that you think it's a bad thing, so that's why I'm presenting my argument of where it can be a good thing.
I just think like I don't understand like how I kind of live. I don't know, something inside me. I don't know if it's the heart or the brain or a bit of both. Or I think I always try and treat everything kind of as individually as I can. Like every individual is unique, right? And I just try and think that way. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then attached to that, I try and think, well, how would I like to be treated? I try and then do that to other people. I try every day to like just try that. That's just, I know it sounds quite simple, but that's basically it for me. Yeah, I don't know. But there are a few things here in the chat, Lieutenant. Can I read them? There's a couple of interesting comments.
Yeah, sure.
So Tina6936 says it goes back to Stone Age where people, family groups, needed to weigh a stranger up in milliseconds. And then Joel says, yes, in the jungle, stereotypes can be useful. And Tina said, yes, an instinctual self-preservation mechanism.
Yeah. So that's the situation where it can be a good thing, like you've got stereotypical thinking, where it can prevent you from being at risk of any danger. Okay. So I want to know how it actually happens, because I have this idea that, you know, your brain takes in the information and develops a stereotype. But I mean, that's oversimplified, isn't it? So, sorry.
I guess it's like you said. So you say patterns. Maybe it formulates sequences and patterns, right? And it just falls into a flow, and it's hard to maybe break that flow, and maybe that's why the stereotype is. Like it's a lot easier to just go with it than then start to critique or challenge it. Like it's easier to just fall into the energy of it. Like you said, you've seen all these people in hoodies, you know, or so you know you avoid them out of, you know, numerous past experiences of trouble, name calling, or potential. So like you kind of weigh up quick, like you know you kind of make a probability kind of guess, and it's just maybe the brain is easier to just go with it than to question it and to reverse that flow. I don't know if that's
Yeah, well, the thing is, if your brain's automatically doing this, then the only way that you will be able to manage this is by being mindful about your thoughts and your thought processes, and therefore doing what you were saying that you do, where you try to keep in mind that everyone's an individual and they might not be part of stereotypes. Yeah, so that's about managing it, isn't it?
Yeah.
But those stereotypes would still be in your mind somewhere.
Yeah, I think you're right. So, I think they are there. They don't go, do they? Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, they're sort of in there.
Yeah. So your brain's already developed them, that being the case. So it sounds like the brain's like going faster than the speed of light, sort of thing.
Yeah, in a way. Yeah,
I mean, I don't know the actual speed that it works at, right? But certainly quicker than we are at consciously being mindful. Because to be mindful, it's an action, isn't it? You've got to actually be proactive. You're aware that this happens in the brain, and you're aware of the negatives that can come with that if that is in the driving seat and causing you to make decisions that are seemingly, at the very least, irrational. So, in other words, are basically leading to a discrimination. And you find out that that's unjust. So basically, you've got this stereotype. You've then chosen to be mindful about that, right? So you take that information on board that the brain's presenting you with, and then you're managing what you do with that information. Do you then just go straight to, oh, well, I'm going to discriminate against that person by not going over there just in case I'm put at risk, right? What may be deemed as positive discrimination because it could be a safeguarding issue, right? So it could be you're keeping yourself safe, right? But then that person's feeling terrible and they've actually not done anything wrong. So you've got to weigh up the pros and cons, haven't you? Is this irrational or rational? Is this appropriate or inappropriate? Is this justifiable or injustifiable? I'm trying to find other words. I feel as though there's another word.
It is quite like, and it's very important, this topic, Lieutenant, and it's quite involved too. And it would help, I mean, every human would probably benefit from thinking about it, I've never really thought about it in this detail before. But it's a bit, I mean, because at the end of the day, you could be missing out, like if you shun a group of people, or you think, on probabilities or balance, or if it is a defense mechanism, but you could miss a life-changing friendship, or receive some brilliant guidance or something. You know what I mean? It doesn't benefit if you don't go over, and then you think the danger it does as you go on with your life, treating people in that way and such. It is, but that is interesting, that bit before though, like you said, like I mean, it is in there, it's in the back of the mind somewhere, and it is strange, why does it have to exist at all? When you think, as you said about that group of people wearing the hoodies, why is it in there? Why is that idea even there? No, sure. Sorry, Lieutenant. I've never really thought about it like this before, but I wish I could. I wish I had something else to say.
That's okay. I mean, we're yet to explore this a bit further. The reason why I've come to this topic, why I've brought this to tonight's stream, is I've recently joined this little amateur drama group, right, which is brilliant for me, for getting me out and having fun and doing something I enjoy and meeting people, right? And it's great for my confidence. But when I joined that last week on Wednesday, I went to the second class yesterday. It was amazing. I remembered back in 2017, I joined a drama group, and one of the sessions was about having a load of items put on the floor, and everyone in the group took so many items, and they had a pen and a piece of paper, and they developed a character based on the items that they'd picked up. So it was like a photo of some people like from the olden days. So this individual had that in their handbag. What kind of an individual? What was their age group? What kind of music do you think they were into? What did they work? Did they not work? Did they have any health problems? And everything that everyone came up with was based on stereotypes, like what they would imagine someone who had this certain item in their bag, in their possession, would be like. And it was all down to stereotypical thinking. And it wasn't anything like discriminatory or anything like that. It was just, being creative with what information is in the brain and developing a character. And then, of course, we then had to improvise and perform that character that we developed. So, that was great. But what I took away from that, because obviously it was a theatre studies course, it wasn't supposed to be therapy or anything like that. It was supposed to be just something fun to do back in 2017 when I did that. But it was facilitated at a a recovery college. The NHS have these recovery colleges for mental health service users, right? So it's where you go and get self-help groups, peer support groups, and all the rest of it. And what I noticed about that others in the group hadn't noticed, was the fact that it proved stereotypical thinking. And I thought this would actually be good to host a workshop about amongst like peers, you know. So I developed this little thing where, you know, I was making all of these points about stereotypical thinking to some of my peers for a couple of hours in one of the rooms in the recovery college, because they give you an opportunity to explore your own understanding of things as part of your recovery. It's really brilliant how the NHS are doing that, like in the mental health sector.
That sounds quite clever.
Yeah. So I was reminded of. Sorry, I'll just finish. I will land.
Okay, sorry.
I was just reminded of that when I joined this drama group that I've joined recently, and I thought I'll bring this to the table and we can explore it even further, because I don't know if I've got like all of the information in my head correctly, and I certainly couldn't like articulate it that well. So that's the reason why I want to explore it. But also I think, you know, it can benefit everyone, like you say, to become more aware of these things.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I think,
where it can be a good thing, where it can be a negative, and we need to manage ourselves better so as to not like discriminate against people unjustly, shall we say.
I wish at schools and stuff as well. Imagine that, you know, A level to GCSE or before, right? I mean, you know, it could transform things. But Lieutenant, I was going to add something. I just spoke to Nagar on Messenger. She's been listening. Could you put the link in the chat? Because I think she'd like to speak.
Yes, I'll do that. If she's going to arrive, hang on a minute, it's 9:10. If she's here, then we could have a 5-minute break.
Okay.
I'll play some music for 5 minutes. We're gonna have a toilet break, and if she rocks up during that 5 minutes, so we'll break from 10 past to 15:15. And I'll bring her on stage. So it'd be great for her to join the discussion, if she wants to.
Yeah, she's been listening. And I think once I add something. So yeah.
Yeah, that's great. All right. Well, I tell you what, I'll stop sharing screen. I'll put a song on. I hope everyone in the chat's having fun and are interested with the topic as well. Everyone's been respectful. It's very nice to see everyone. Let me put this song on.
She's laughing with a whiteboard clear, unpacking a fresh pack of pens, never willing to accept of fear. She's loved in many channels, every gay chant on nights and black blue lights. Heaven help them when she recites. Mysterious life, girl got skills. She moves in space with minimum waste and maximum joy. Makeshift desk and a cat that bites. When you see her coming, take your pills. No place for snowflakes or sensitive hearts. When sentiment is left to chance, she'll send you back to your start. We all know it, she's a smooth moderator. Smooth moderator. Smooth moderator. Smooth moderator. Toast to toast, sometimes switches to crumpet, bends them to jail. Across social media, buy memberships for bail. Verse by verse, exploring the text. She reads and recites, not knowing the tongue, learning every step of the way. Melts all your memories and feeds you facts. Her zeal is like fire, but her heart is of gold. We all know it, she's a smooth moderator. Smooth Smooth moderator, smooth moderator, smooth moderator. Toast to toast, sometimes switch to crumpet, bands them to jail. Across social media, buy memberships for bail. Smooth moderator, 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 smooth moderator. Ooh, moderator, smooth moderator. Smooth moderator, smooth moderator, smooth moderator, smooth moderator, smooth moderator. There's a hustle and a bustle. It's been hustling and a bustling a while, a long, long while. This town is now a city. It's a city on a town. It's concrete over beauty. How that came to be. Lights go out, but it's wide awake. I can feel it breathing. The city with a purpose, anticipating until I sleep. It can feel me breathing. It knows I'm listening. The city with a purpose, sparks of beauty occur. There's a hustle and a bustle. It's been hustling and a bustling a while, a long, long while. Lights go out, but it's wide awake. I don't feel entertained. The city with a purpose, no intention to cure me. I don't like the circus, never been, never will. The city with a purpose. The city with a purpose. There's a hustle and a bustle. It's been hustling and a bustling a while, a long, long while. I don't like the circus, never been, never will. The city with a purpose. 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 The city with a purpose.
Welcome, Nigar, to the stage.
Hello. Hello.
How are
Nice
ya?
to be here. I'm very well, thank you. And how
Oh,
are
it's
you?
good to hear your voice. Yeah, I'm great. Thank you. Welcome back to the UK from Bahrain.
Oh, yes, I've been back now about at least 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks. I can't remember really. Anyway, I've been back for a little while, 2 weeks, I think. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's good because they canceled my flight because of the situation in the Middle East. And then, so for 2 days, I didn't know when I was coming back, but then they gave me another ticket, so it's fine.
Okay, well, it's good to have you back, and I hope
Thank you.
your trip to Bahrain was good and it was, everything
It
was
was
safe.
lovely.
There's a lot
It
going
was
on out
lovely.
there, isn't there?
Yeah, it
Okay,
was
that's
lovely.
good.
Really good, yeah.
All right. So,
I've been listening, Lieutenant,
yeah, yeah,
and I'll tell you, when I was young at school, many, many years ago, I had a Jewish friend in Bahrain, this is,
yeah.
and I was very friendly with her. And I've just reconnected with her through another friend. I managed to find her phone number. She lives in UK now. And so I reconnected with her, and she was telling me that when the Six-Day War happened in Israel, that somebody phoned the leader of the Jewish community in Bahrain and said to him, can all the girls or all the children which are at school stop coming to school because we don't want them in school anymore. She told me this now. I didn't know about it. I knew that she stopped coming to school.
Right.
So they did. She's another word. Her education was curtailed because she was only what 13, 14, and she had another 3 years to go before she finished her education in Bahrain, and she couldn't do it. She couldn't do it anymore. So she had to find other ways of being, doing some education. She did typing and shorthand and did other things, and eventually they realized they can't really live in Bahrain anymore, so they moved out and came back to UK to live here. So there are some Jews in Bahrain now, but there's only about 30 of them. Or she was telling me actually it's only 15, even less than 30.
Wow.
Yeah. But there was a quite sizable community. They have their own synagogue, and as it happened, when I went walking around in the market area in Bahrain, I did actually come across a synagogue there, and it's all been renovated and and it's got a big notice on it saying it's a synagogue, Jewish place of worship, and it's there, and I think people can go and visit it now, but. It goes back to what you were talking about, stereotypes, that we group people into categories and we allow them to be part of our world or not. And we do that, if you like, we all do it. We see somebody with a certain kind of appearance and we categorize it because that's how our brain works, I think. And the
Yeah.
other thing I want to say is, have you ever noticed that people would look at you and you straight away you're being categorized, and straight away people don't want to talk to you anymore? Have you
Oh,
ever
yes.
noticed that?
Yes, I have. I have been on the receiving end of that. Yes.
Yeah.
For a number of different reasons. I think some people have one stereotype in mind about me. They would judge me
Mm-hmm.
on my appearance and possibly
Mm-hmm.
put me in the benefit street
Mm-hmm.
box, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I've not been looking my best and my clothes haven't been that good. I've been unkempt,
Mm-hmm.
while my mental health was that bad. It really was impacting my appearance as well.
Yeah.
The malnourishment and all the rest of it. So I was put into that
Mm-hmm.
no hope,
Yeah.
got no education, got no ambition, got nothing
Mm-hmm.
going on upstairs in the head kind of
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
category. And there's times where I've been put in a box because of my skin color or my nationality. Like when I was in the Netherlands, you know, the way I was treated sometimes was, you know, I've faced some hostility from some of the Dutch people because
Oh.
of stereotypes that they have in mind. And I've found that was, you know, there's so-called British expat communities in the Netherlands, and in that particular place, there's two provinces. There's North Holland and South Holland, and the part that I was working in was like on the border of those two provinces. So some of the towns were in North Holland, some of the towns were in South Holland, but all around that area is where you've got a lot of British expats living and working, and a lot of them cause trouble.
Oh.
So I was put into that same category. Yeah, I was one of those who was working in the same industry, living in the same areas, but I wasn't causing trouble. You know, so for the Dutch people living in that area, what they've seen come out of most of expats over many years, and what they're sick to the back teeth of, and you know, they were already being overrun with other kinds of immigrants as well. They had these stereotypes in mind that would safeguard them against the people who were there causing trouble. But it was unfortunate that it wasn't managed as well as it could have been, because I myself and others who were there that weren't causing trouble were being discriminated against because of that group that were causing trouble. So because of the individuals with those stereotypes in mind, mainly just wanting to safeguard themselves and their families and their communities, so from a good place, they were wanting to safeguard everything, but they didn't have this awareness of stereotypical thinking, I think, and thus they weren't managing it, you know. And I myself am guilty of that as well.
Yes, of course.
You know,
I think
I don't want to be like sitting going on about, oh yes, I've been on the receiving end of this, that, and the other, and oh how saintly I am. Au contraire, I think we are all guilty of this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, of course, I kind of find it in myself as well, because what we do is we prejudge. We look at a person, and that's what prejudice is. You prejudge a situation just to protect yourself initially, really. Like the story that you were telling about, you see hoodies, you are aware that they might be problems, so you go to the other end of the street, to the other side of the road, and then turn back to the right side again after passing them, avoiding them, another word. But I think for me, as you become aware of this, then you have to positively work against it. And so if you think negatively of somebody, to think positively of them, and try to relate to them in a positive way. And the other thing which I find, sometimes people categorize, if you see certain groups of people, you categorize them as the right kind of people. You know what I mean? So you can prejudge them as the good people to be associated with. And
Yes.
that might not be true, might not be true either. It's
Absolutely, yes.
Can
I have
I
an
add something?
example. Yeah, sorry. Go
Just
ahead.
want to ask, you know, when you're like kids, before, you know, you're teenage, when you're children, I don't think you think that way, though, right? I don't think when you don't think like, you know, when you're tiny, you don't think. It's almost like it's not part of the paradigm.
Yeah, I think that would come with the fact that your brain hasn't received that much data yet
But it's
to
like,
be able to develop these boxes, if you like, these pigeonholes, these
but it's strange you
stereotypes.
tend like you know, when they say the innocency of it, right, and the purity. I don't know. It's strange how it all gets corrupted after 12 or 13. You know, it is strange.
Is it corrupted per se, though? Is it not just
Well, I mean,
part of the?
you know, you
Is
don't
it
think
not
of
just part of the natural development?
no, but you don't think like misogyny, racism, you know, against straight, lesbian, gay, and bi, or you don't think of Islamophobia or anti-Judaic, anti-Christian. You don't when you're you don't. Those things aren't even in your mind. You know, you're living in the spirit so much. It's so carefree.
I think you're right. I think Lieutenant is quite right as well. It's when you become about 12 or become aware of yourself and your position in society, then you start having these categories and these pigeonholes. And
But
they
you could say then the bad thoughts come in. Some, you know, the door's open to these bad thoughts.
it might not be bad, it might be necessary.
Well, yeah, all right.
Yeah, I agree, because we can't go down the black and white thinking way of things, you know, whether something's good or bad, right? That typically leads to needing some CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, right? But like we were saying earlier, Ravioli, and like what Nagar and I have give examples of, what can be a negative stereotype in one moment, that same stereotype could be life-saving in a different scenario. So is it worth trying to eradicate the stereotype, or just managing it per moment, per situation? Now we've got a message in the live chat from Lord Justice that I've highlighted. I find this important because it goes back to your question, Ravioli, which I think is very important about, you know, children don't have these issues of stereotypes. And Lord Justice says maybe children have less stereotypes because they live in the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's, I don't know, it's the spirit in there or the energy they, yeah, the moment it's different. Yeah, but it's like, I don't know what it is, but the ignorance is, they're free of it. It seems, I don't know, but it's just like, it's just how it changes. As I think the guy said, maybe when you become aware of yourself, and that becoming aware of oneself is where I think the danger, I know, the door open to trouble begins. But I don't know if that sounds right or not. I don't know.
I think actually, Rupert, you become aware not just of yourself, but you become aware of yourself within a community. You assess your position within this community, either at school or at home, if you have brothers and sisters, or within a bigger family, or you know, if you belong to a sport club or anything, you kind of assess your own position within this group of people, and gradually you have to find your way around, because you have to find your way around in society. Before, when you're a child, first of all, you're just basically, you're centered within yourself, and you're gradually getting to relate to other human beings and learn how to relate to them.
Yeah, as someone said in the chat, Tina 6936, some is learned in childhood, and some from personal experience. Behavior reactions can also be unconscious. Yeah, that's Lieutenant. It's interesting that it could be unconscious. Behavior and reactions can also be unconscious. So something's going on at the sub and conscious level. That's just, you know, things are happening even in those levels of it. But yeah, I don't know. It's all, I don't know. I don't really know what to think.
Okay. I mean, I think we've had a great discussion. We've been looking at like the positives and the negatives, and we've looked at our own experiences, which I think it's important for us to draw on. You know, people in the audience can relate to these things, I'm sure, as well. It's very thought-provoking. What if we go to another article? Did you hear the Britannica that I read out earlier before you got here, Nagar?
Yes, I saw some of it, yes.
Yeah. So I've found, let me have a look. I've found a PubMed, is it? Yeah, PubMed Central. I'm just going to have a look. We've got half an hour. It doesn't look that too long an article, but I'll read out and we can discuss. And then when it comes to the end, what I did last week, Nagar, is we end stream and then you guys hang back, like stay in the studio, and we discuss what each of us is going to research on the topic for the next time we meet on this topic, which could be in like 2 or 3 weeks' time, depending on what we visit next week and so on and so forth. So if we don't reach a conclusion on anything today, then we can further the discussion another week, right? So
Good. Yeah. Okay.
there's no pressure. Nice, relaxed.
The vitamin
discussions.
D thing next week. Is that the one we're gonna?
I think so. Yes. Yeah. I mean, if you still want more time for research, we could schedule that for the following week and then
Oh, I don't
start
mind attending,
another
yeah.
topic next week.
Yeah, I mean, it's your
That's yet
show.
to be-
What do you think? Yeah.
That's yet to be confirmed, but yeah, I mean, keep on looking into what you're looking into, but there's no pressure to like turn up as a genius or anything next week on vitamin D and hormone T. We can just keep on discussing that topic until we've really drawn a conclusion, however many weeks that takes. So don't worry about that. I'll bring up
Can I add
that
another
article.
point on something? You
Yeah,
know, like in
go on.
history, with history, then Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party.
Yeah,
So to scapegoat, say the Jews is, it's all their fault. They're the problem, which he
right.
did. They're stereotyping them as being lower than vermin and rats and things. And talking about them in Mein Kampf and things is but they're like rats. He saw them as that. So killing a Jew is like killing a rat, is what he put in Mein Kampf. But I mean, where you think how this could ever be, dealing with these stereotypes, it's so dangerous if it's not ever thought about. It can go down a pretty evil road.
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh.
And I think had the people back then been more conscientious about stereotypical thinking, things might not have come to what they came to. Same with like in communist countries and other tyrannical situations around the world, things might not have come to what they came to had people been more mindful about their own, what I refer to as human condition. So whether it's down to stereotypical thinking, whether it's down to discuss tolerance issues, that's a big deal. I've heard Dr. Jordan Peterson allude to that with regards to Adolf Hitler, saying that he thinks he had discussed tolerance issues amongst other things.
Yeah.
And that's how things, went down such a tragic, god-awful path. But that's possibly another topic that we could delve into another time.
It leads to a question that's like, why is it the easy solution? Just go with the herd, go with the masses of the people, go with them. Yeah, it's easier to do that behavioral response rather than let's critically or analytically think. Why are we treating them? Why is it easier? Why people? Sorry.
If you go against the crowd, you have to accept to be ostracized, for people to stand out against the big group of people. People will laugh at you.
Yep.
And you have to accept that.
Yeah, I mean, when we're talking about Germany in particular, the Germans back then were so advanced in many, many ways. They were very, very civilized people.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they found themselves broke. They were tired, after World War One. There was a lot of things, a lot of matters contributing to their decision making. A lot of people look back and they demonize and they say, I could never have done what they did. But had you been in those people's shoes at that time, you would have done exactly the same. This has been long thought out and assessed and examined and prodded and poked at by many a psychologist, psychiatrist, and all the rest of it, historians and all the rest of it, right? A lot of big brains have looked at this. A lot of deep thinkers and critical thinkers have looked at this.
Yeah.
And we all have it in us to go that bad. So
Lieutenant, I just one thing
into.
on what you're saying there. So I just know with history in mind, like a big thing was in the early days of Hitler rising to power was that he would tell everyone that they weren't defeated on the battlefield. You know, they only got to the western part of the Ruhr, the Ruhr Valley and things. They didn't get to Berlin or Munich. And so he was telling the people, no, we weren't defeated. We were stabbed in the back by Jews at home. And that's what Hitler would tell the people. We weren't defeated. We were stabbed in the back. It was a conspiracy at home. And that's why we pulled out and ultimately lost the war. So it kind of like, if you think about that kind of thinking that he's thinking, okay, so geographically, okay, the Allies didn't take all of Western Germany up to even to Central Germany. So then there's a small reason he's clinging to that. And people believed it because obviously in their psyche, they don't want to admit a defeat. It makes them look weak. It makes them look, stupid and bad. If they,
they were bombarded with propaganda as well.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it's interesting how then the ego, in a way, is boosted. Hearing Hitler say, "No, we weren't beaten," and this and they did, and So it's but then the acceptance of it. Then okay, there's a problem. It's that group of people there. Then the stereotypes kick in. It's strange how it all links up, but people would choose to accept that rather than question it. It is. I do find that strange.
It's laziness, actually. In a certain way, it's a mental laziness. But if you want to stand against what the majority of people believe, you have to have a lot of strength, inner strength. Otherwise, you couldn't do it, because people will try to make you feel small and laugh at you and belittle you and even humiliate you.
But then that poses a question just in World War I. In this example, the French leader at the time, Georges Clemenceau, he told Lloyd George, the British Prime Minister, and Woodrow Wilson, the American President, he said to them, no, the Germans will never admit they've been defeated. We have to go to Berlin. He actually said that to them before the war had ended. So I sometimes think to myself, okay, a lot more people may have died, a lot more suffering would have come. But you think if they had actually done that and got, then people like Hitler would have had no grounds to make their claims on, because the defeat would have been so obvious, And I sometimes wonder if that French leader was correct. Okay.
Well, you're saying there would have been a lot more killing. I'm just glad they didn't. They didn't do it, and there was no more killing. I'm
just saying, like, as in, there would have been more killing, but not. I don't think there would have been 60 million deaths that 20 years later the Second World War produced. There would have probably been another, probably 3 to 5, but you would have averted a possible 60. That's because you're not going to give people like Hitler their claim that it was a betrayal at home and we weren't defeated on the battlefield. So, like, through a little bit of hardship, you avert an even bigger hardship. That's kind of what I'm thinking. But I don't know.
Okay. We're going to just be mindful of the time. It is 20 to 10. So I want to get us through this article here on PubMed Central. So this article says, let me have a look. It is dated January the 5th, 2023. It's an editorial, and it's the psychological process of stereotyping. Content, forming, internalizing, mechanisms, effects, and interventions. So I'm interested in the mechanisms, but let's read through it all, see what we can find from this. I do feel, I don't know, that Britannica one, I feel as though it seemed a little bit woke, if you know what I mean. But anyway, let's go into this one. Stereotype is a pervasive and persistent human tendency that stems from a basic cognitive need to categorize, simplify, and process the complex world. This tendency is a precondition for social bias, prejudice, and discrimination. Amid the COVID-19 outbreak, the discrimination, exclusion, and even hostility caused by stereotypes have increasingly become an important social issue that concerns political and social stability. Therefore, the current issue focuses on a broad spectrum of research addressing four main themes. One, the psychological process involved in forming and internalizing social stereotypes. Two, the negative consequences of stereotypes. Three, the neurocognitive mechanisms underlying stereotypes. And four, the interventions addressing the consequences of negative stereotypes in this area with changes and challenges. Specifically, the research topic consists of 13 papers by 54 scholars that target stereotypes among different social groups, including males and females, older people and young generation, minority races, people living with HIV or AIDS, in brackets PLWHA. I don't know what that means. Oh, right, yeah, I do now. People with mental health problems, juvenile transgressors, refugees, and Asian Americans during COVID-19 outbreak. These studies are conducted in culturally diverse countries, including Brazil, China, Germany, Hungary, and the USA, contributing to a more holistic picture of contemporary stereotypes. Now, before we go any further, I would never have thought of China being culturally diverse when considering the vast majority of China is occupied by indigenous Chinese people. I just never, and they can be quite a racist group of people, or is that stereotypical of me to think? I don't know. I just never thought that
If
it was
you've been to China,
culturally.
have you been to
No, I've
China,
not.
Lieutenant? Okay.
No, I've
When you
not.
go to China, you find they are all Chinese, but they are separate groups. They do separate or think of themselves as different groups in different areas of China that they live, and they actually look down at each other, which I find quite surprising, really. I mean, some areas of China is looked upon as very uneducated and how do you put it? Country people, country bumpkins.
Right,
and other
okay.
and other people
That's
are
another
being,
stereotype that I put ravioli
yes,
into.
yes, yes, yeah,
So,
that's
right,
right.
because I automatically assume that under communism, you can't have
Yeah,
other cultures, because under communism tends to eradicate differences, or it tries to,
yeah,
because it wants everyone to be the same, so everyone
yeah,
can be equal in, it's all about equality, but it works out very much inequality.
I tell you, I spent 3 weeks in China, in a kind of a poor area of China, and I stayed with a family where they had a school. They were teaching English, so I was helping teach the teachers to speak English. Now, I'm not English myself, anyway. For them, I was a native speaker. And I found, and I couldn't actually understand it, I still don't understand it. There was a lady there who was one of the teachers, and I found her to be really rather quite good, but she was discriminated against by other Chinese people there. And I'm assuming because she belonged to a different social group or different, I can't say ethnic, what can I call it? A different group, or they have many different languages actually, which we don't get to know here outside China. They have different dialects in China. Perhaps she belonged to a different dialect group. I don't know, but she was obviously discriminated against, and she eventually left. She didn't stay in the school. So, and it's a puzzle to me still today. I mean, this part of China I was in, they never see any foreigners, because every time they saw me, they would ask the people with me, "Oh, is she Russian?" Because
Right.
that's the only foreigners they have ever met.
Yeah. Okay, let's get back to this. So number one, the forming of social stereotypes. Negative stereotypes from the public may be influenced by our knowledge about and psychological distance to the target group, beliefs of group malleability, beliefs in the implicit change of traits, and moral values. For instance, Caldas et al. So that sounds like, yeah, this is like a study that I could click on to another week, tested whether people's knowledge and proximity to the circumstances associated with juvenile transgression would influence their opinions about the proposal for reducing the age of criminal majority in Brazil. They investigated the passers-by in a public square and workers from the juvenile justice courts and found that people were more likely to hold negative stereotypes of juvenile delinquents if they were far from them. Pascuj and Oroz, looks like another study, focused on the refugees as the most typically vulnerable group in turbulent international times, and they found that group malleability beliefs were negatively linked to dehumanization tendencies and threats perceived from migrants in Hungary. Prodsko and Skula, another study, examined a more general negative stereotype of youth, also known as the kids these days effect, KTD effect. In two studies with American adults, belief in whether a trait changes over the lifespan was associated with such prejudices. In addition, Lai et al., another study, focused on 3 cues linked to women's perceived high long-term mating value and reported that Chinese women displaying sexually attractive cues were perceived to have lower moral values. Moreover, they were stereotyped as having lower levels of humanness than women displaying beautiful facial cues or virtuous behavioral cues, which in turn led to lower mating opportunity. So, I know how I'll put that simply, but I won't go there.
Lieutenant, there's so much packed in this article. Really, it's so much detail. One needs to really sit and read it. At least I need to sit and read it properly.
Well, the thing is, I'm going to get through this article because it's 10 to 10. We will come back to this because I can't see us coming to a conclusion today. So we will come back to this article, but the links to everything that we're looking at today will be put into the description of this live stream at the end of the live stream. So don't worry about that. You can go back and get those links and go and look at the article yourself. The same for the audience as well. It will be there after I've ended the stream. Okay, so we'll get back to this. Culture also plays an essential role in stereotype formation. Lee et al. Targeted stereotypes toward high-power individuals and revealed that people influenced in Confucianism, right, held positive stereotypes of competence and warmth for the senior high-power individuals. This finding is inconsistent with the traditional proposition that high-power individuals tend to be stereotyped as having high competence and low warmth. This might be because high-power individuals under Confucian culture are expected to have great social responsibility and concern for the well-being of others. Furthermore, new stereotypes emerged as a result of COVID-19 in the global context. COVID-19 is a threat to physical health and mental health, and various reports have indicated that COVID-19 is closely related to stigma and discrimination. 2 studies examined the stereotypes related to COVID-19. Zhao et al. Found that the prevalence of COVID-19 related negative stereotypes was low in China. Besides, the more people know about COVID-19, the fewer negative stereotypes associated with COVID-19 they reported. Daly et al., on the other hand, reported that Asian Americans were facing increasing challenges from different ethnic groups on social issues related to COVID-19 in the United States, and the increasing tendency to blame China for the pandemic was associated with stereotyping Asian people as more foreign.
Can I add one thing on that, Lieutenant? Sorry, just about
Yeah.
COVID and those. Well, it didn't help, did it? You had, was it President Trump was calling it the China virus in every speech he gave at the time.
Well, I don't think that.
That probably didn't help. He had the China virus. He kept, yeah. I mean, we'll call it COVID.
that's because he was reminding everyone the origin of this virus, right?
Right. Okay.
He wasn't demonizing the Chinese people, okay, and he didn't put it out there as if it was a look at the Chinese people, look at what they're doing, right? He was just talking about the fact that it came out of a lab in China, right?
But I mean,
what the rest of the mainstream media then did with that was put it into everyone's minds that he was talking about the Chinese people, and thus or at least added to any stereotypes that anyone was developing anyway.
Yeah. All right. Then. Yeah. Okay.
So it wasn't Trump that did that. It was the mainstream media that did that.
But if I put this thought just out there quickly, if he had a choice, okay, I could call it COVID-19, option A, just COVID, option B, or the China virus, option C. He could have. I mean, I don't know.
At the time, right, the vast majority were saying we don't know where it's come from because the mainstream media were trying to bury the fact that it came out of a lab in China.
Yeah.
Trump wasn't letting them get away with doing that. So he was saying it's the China virus, right?
Okay.
It came out of China, right? So that's what he was doing there. At the time, the mainstream media were trying to bury the fact that it came from China. And then as soon as he was calling it the China virus to make sure no one forgot and therefore that it continued to get investigated, right, to get to the root of it. Otherwise, it would have just been buried. It wouldn't have been investigated. The evidence would have been destroyed. Yeah?
Yeah.
So he made sure that it would be investigated. And what the mainstream media then did was planted the seeds into people's mind, saying, look, he's now demonizing the Chinese people. So that adds to the information going into the brain. That
I think you're making a very important point here, Lieutenant, that journalism actually works with stereotypes. It's easier to write an article and include the stereotypes than actually try to explain things on an individual basis, really. You have big groups of, it's easier to write about.
Yeah, they didn't report the facts of what Trump had said and what was going on at the time. They just wanted to hurt Trump and bring down whatever he was trying to do, which was get to the heart of the matter. They wanted to bury the origins of this virus. They wanted Trump out. And in the process, they have possibly been instrumental in what we've just read about the stereotypes that were developed against Chinese people.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a very good point that you've raised there, Ravioli. Because it's 5-2, I'm not even going to go on to point 2. I think we could leave that for next time. We might even go through this article a bit more slowly as time goes on, but I think we should at least read through it all and then read through it all again, splicing and dicing it up sort of thing, really breaking it down like what you were saying there, Nigar. So because we've only got 4 minutes left, I'm not going to read any more of that. I will put the links of that in the in the description. The links of that and the Britannica thing that we read as well. So everyone can go and have a look at that. And I don't know, it might be a good starting point for some people who want to research the matter.
Mm-hmm.
There was
Very
just
good.
one thing I just add quick. There was something with, I think you read in the first paragraph or two on that last thing you had up. It was the distance. You know, people keep this distance in the stereotype as well. Like there's like a fear, or like they want to keep a distance between the group
Yeah,
that they're
that's
trying
the
to.
point. Yeah.
It is interesting.
But when you feel as a safe distance, you think you can express your negative views then.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, and it flourishes. The ignorance just builds, and if you're in the wrong group of people,
Mm-hmm.
it's like they try and one up each other on how ignorant or nasty they can be.
Yeah, yes, that happens because that's how, you know, people compete with each other or try to have one-upmanship
Yeah.
naturally. Yeah.
It is interesting topic that I wish I mean, I was thinking at school or for places it would be quite beneficial for people to go over it like this.
To learn about it. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Or to
I
become
think,
aware of it.
yeah, I mean, I think it's certainly beneficial to look at this not from a CRT, you know, the critical race theory thing that they were doing, not from that, which I think leads to more prejudices and biases and discrimination. I think looking at it as a matter of fact, as a psychological or some kind of mechanical process that occurs in the brain, looking at it as an exploration of the human condition as you're growing up, so that you've got that awareness of yourself without being told, so if you end up thinking this, you're bad. And if you end up thinking that, then you're good, you know, without putting that spin on it, just looking at it as this is part of your human condition and something that, you know, you might want to be mindful about and try to manage
I mean,
to keep yourself and others safe.
I could take this to like a theological level just quickly. Like it is
Okay.
interesting, you know, if God, you know, the all-knowing, as Big Nose would say, omni everything.
Yeah.
But to put that there, you know, it is part of every human, every soul's or whatever the condition, and it is interesting that it's there. You know, you think about all the harm and the destruction that comes from, the ignorance of it, you know, it is, you know, I don't know. There has to be a reason to why, you know, these things happen. And yeah, I don't know. I sometimes wonder why, but anyway.
Yeah. Why this and why that? That's where I go.
But then all the you know, the prophets' journeys, they suffer, don't they? All of them. They have the same thing. You know,
so you're referring to now in what's in the religious texts as well.
yeah. Well, in the text of the manifestation, they all suffer these things. They suffer at the hands of the mob. You know, they're all slandered against and hated. So they suffer it too, as well as everyone else.
Okay, that's interesting. Right. Well, on that note, it is now
Okay.
10 p.m. So I'm going to end this stream. I'm going to thank everyone for being in the audience, for the chatters, the lurkers, the lovers, the haters, Tina, Daft Lad, Lord Justice, yourself, Ravioli, and Nagar.
Thank you very much, Lieutenant. Yeah,
Who else
lovely.
has been in there? We've had Yaki Gaddafi, of course. We had Knee Legs, and I can't see who else.
I think Jay Fu was there, Lieutenant.
Oh, yes, Jay Fu. Just came across his name. And everyone else who has joined us tonight. Thank you for being with us, and we shall see you same place, same time next week. God bless.